Hey there, Mission. I'm Tim Brown from Rick Brown Family Funeral Home, and I want to invite you to join me on Commerce Conversation, the business, community, and innovation here in Mission, Texas, the official podcast of the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce. You know, each episode we're bringing you exclusive interviews with local business leaders, entrepreneurs, and change makers who are living right here in the Rio Grande Valley doing business here in Mission. They're driving innovation in our community. We will dive deep into the issues that matter to you, the business growth to community events and everything that comes in between. You can catch this podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Make sure to subscribe. Never miss an episode. You miss one episode, you miss a lot, so don't miss an episode. We're excited to share the latest in business and community news with you. We'll see you on the Commerce Conversation. Welcome again to Commerce Conversation. On this show, we enjoy talking about businesses here in the city of Mission and how our community can support you and what innovative ways that the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce can help your business grow and raise awareness about your organization. I'm your host, Tim Brown with Rick Brown Family Funeral Home, and today we'll be learning more about Texas National Bank's community initiatives and services. Before we dive into our conversation, I want to share with you all the things that the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce is preparing as we get ready to host the next Buenas Tardes Luncheon. This is our signature event. Most of you know about it, and many of you have probably been there, but it's hosted by the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce. We have it right here in Mission. It's held twice a year. We hold it in the spring and the fall. This luncheon serves as a platform for community leaders, business professionals, and stakeholders to engage in meaningful discussions on topics that are vital to the region's growth and development. Each luncheon centers around a specific theme relevant to the community's current needs and the future aspirations. For instance, workforce readiness. We have discussions that focus on preparing the local workforce for future challenges, featuring insights from leaders in economic development and education. The state of education. Panels have addressed the importance of strengthening education systems and promoting financial literacy to enhance community well-being. Our last one was about hospitality and tourism. Events have highlighted developments and opportunities within the local hospitality and tourism sectors, emphasizing their impact on the region economy. The luncheons feature esteemed speakers and panelists from various sectors. Some of our previous speakers have been Julian Olivares III, Executive VP and Director of Community Relations at Lone Star National Bank and former Texas Workforce Commissioner. Teclo Garcia, our very own, right here in Mission, CEO of the Mission Economic Development Corporation. We also did a podcast with Teclo, so feel free to go back and listen to that one again. Dr. Carlos Margo, Dean of Industry Training and Economic Development at South Texas College. Michael J. Williamson, Executive Vice President of Commercial Lending at Texas National Bank. Ana D. Gonzalez, the Executive Director of Teach for America, Rio Grande Valley. Dr. Chris Valdez, the Superintendent of Mission CISD, and Dr. Daniel P. King, Executive Director of Region 1 Education Service Center. The luncheons are always held at the Mission Event Center. That's located here in Mission at 200 North Sherry Road. And our next Buenas Tardes Luncheon will be held on Wednesday, August the 13th at the Mission Event Center. We're going to have that from 11:30 to 1. I encourage you to start calling the chamber now. Make sure you get tickets. They do sell out very quickly. It's a very good event, very educational, and a lot of people like to attend there. And once again, everything we do at the chamber involves networking. It's a great time for you to come out and network with other business leaders in the community. For more information on upcoming events or to participate in any of the events, including the Buenos Aires Luncheon, you can contact the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce at 956-585-2727 or visit our official website, which is www.missionchamber.com. Also, I want to give a big thank you to our upcoming Buenos Aires Luncheon title sponsor, Texas National Bank. And in today's program, we'll be learning more about Texas National Bank. All right, everybody. So today I'm joined by my good friend, Hector Sanchez. You know, Hector, I was reading your bio earlier, and you look like you probably graduated high school last year. But to look at your bio, you probably have some gray hair somewhere. We just can't tell. I mean, I got all kinds of gray, but you're not as young as you look, I guess, right?
Oh, thank you, Tim.
But you know, a little bit about Hector. He's the vice president and branch manager of Texas National Bank here in Mission. And you know, when I was looking at this, you've been around a little bit. You've been to Houston, McAllen. Now, did you live in those cities, or did you run them, those stores remotely?
So I did live in Houston, and first of all, let me just start off by thanking the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce and yourself, Tim, for the phenomenal job that y'all are doing with this podcast. It's just been a great way to communicate with our members and with our community. So, kudos to you. You're doing an amazing job. Thank you so much for this opportunity. But so I did live in Houston for 7 years.
Okay.
And, life took me over there. And it was a great opportunity for me career-wise. That's where I managed a financial center for a national bank. And I really enjoyed it. It opened up a lot of doors for me over there. However, prior to that, I did have a couple years, a small stint at a community bank.
Okay.
So I got a feel for the way the community bank worked. Right. Leaving on good terms allowed me to go back, with that national bank in Houston, and eventually making my way back to the Valley, right, which a lot of us do.
Right.
I'll even give a little bit more insight into my age because I graduated as a Bronc from UTPA, which is now UTRGV, Visa.
There you go. Good job.
And, I really, enjoyed, my time there, but there's nothing like home.
Yeah.
And, now I find myself working for this bank, Texas National Bank, has been great for me. I enjoy being part of the Texas National Bank family.
Well, good. You talk about some of us come back home. I went off to mortuary school in Dallas, and growing up here in Mission, all I wanted to do was leave Mission. And the moment I left, all I wanted to do was come back to Mission.
That's right.
And been here ever since. So as I looked at your bio, there's only one thing that stands out that's a negative. I didn't realize you were an Astros fan. When there's the Yankees out there, you still want to be an Astros fan? My goodness. But no, seriously though, looking at your bio, you have a lot to be proud of. When I joined the board here at the Chamber of Commerce, I think you were one of the first people that I got to meet and network with, and I feel like we've hit it off ever since. And I've called you on some different things to get some advice, and you've always given me good, sound advice, and sometimes it's even free, and so I'm grateful for you. But anyway, thank you, Hector, for all you do for this community.
Of course, Tim. No,
So,
thank you.
You know that today's episode is all about Texas National Bank, and we're going to be exploring your community engagement and the support and activities that you have for our local community. I realize that there's branches of Texas National Bank throughout the Valley. I don't know, is it only in the Valley?
Yeah, so we are Valley-wide, and we are really making ways to establish our branch footprint all over the Valley with 9 branches now in total. So the original branch, believe it or not, was the First National Bank of Mercedes back in 1920. That's how it started. So we could say we've been serving the community for over 100 years.
Wow. Yeah. So now we're not going to worry about those branches. We want to know about what your branch is doing, all right? That's right. You just block those other 8 out. Today, it's all about Mission.
Thank you.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your journey in banking. I know you've talked a little bit already about going back and forth to a big bank and then to a community bank. What was it that drew you back to the community bank? And is there a particular reason you came back to Mission, or did Mission just kind of fall in your lap?
Well, to be honest, I was looking around with that mindset that a community bank is where I wanted to go. It's where I wanted to grow my career. And when I saw the opening for Texas National Bank, I had heard about it. I heard good things about it. And when I saw that it was in Mission, I said, this is a great way to restart, right? Again, life brought me back down to the Valley. So I was looking for that fresh start career-wise, and then also coming into a different city that honestly I had never worked in Mission before. But immediately upon entering my very first chamber event, I just felt so welcomed and so at home. I had people introducing me to other people right off the bat. Yeah. And I said, this is definitely somewhere where I can grow, I can network, I can definitely, focus around my centers of influence. And it's been something very, very rewarding to be able to be part of the chamber, but also grow with Texas National Bank. I'm going on my 3rd year. Right. So, really? Yes. So now having completed that 3rd year will be in June, so it's right around the corner. I feel like our branch has come a long way. Yeah. It's come a long way. We are very happy to be serving the community in both, the personal side, of course. We have a lot of products and services that cater to our community, and also on the small business side, the same thing. So, that's kind of what drew me back in, is being able to have more of that one-on-one, more of that personal attention with our clients, and being able to, make decisions, local decisions, right, at the local level. And that's what we do in community banking. And at Texas National Bank, we've pretty much
Yeah, it is community.
done that. Yeah.
That's great. You mentioned that the first event you went to with the chamber, you felt welcome, and that's one of the things that I love about Mission is that we're growing. We're not a little small city anymore, but it still feels that way. You still walk in to HEB and you're walking down the aisle, and you always seem to know somebody that's excited to say hello.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, so
you don't want to be caught dressed down.
No, that is for sure. That is for sure, and I've done that before. Okay, so it says that your role at your branch is assistant vice president. So does that mean a cup of coffee if feet are on the table or on the desk and you're leaning back while everyone works? Or what does a day look like for you?
So in my typical day, I just have a great team that surrounds me, that helps me get the job done throughout the day and helps deliver on the mission of the bank. Mm-hmm. So if we just kind of want to level set a little bit and talk about our community and how we as a bank understand what the needs are. Mm-hmm. It just helps us deliver so much better. So the Rio Grande Valley, although we've made a lot of strides in our economy, we understand that there's certain factors affecting us, such as the median household income, mm-hmm. right? So we're below the state average and the national average when it comes to that. So because of factors like this, we sought out certification called the CDFI certification. This is a certification given by the Department of Treasury, and it's given to financial institutions and organizations that are focused on community development. Mm-hmm. And we have access to different programs and different things that we can do in respect to our financial services that sometimes is not found through traditional banking. Right. And this is something we take great pride in. Because of this, what we've been able to do is we've been able to focus in on the RGV mm-hmm. as our primary investment. And I think that says a lot because there's a lot of financial institutions out there, but not all of them are deploying the funds back into the community through local projects. And, that's exactly what we're doing. So having said that, the CDFI designation is something that we continue to focus on and use. Great example on how we used it in the past few years was with during COVID. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of small business owners that had to apply for PPP loans. Right. We were one of the few institutions that had access early on to be able to support small business owners with these applications. Wow. And we actually came out as one of the top community banks in the country that service small businesses, not just here in the Valley, but all over the country when it came to that.
Yeah. So my next question, you kind of touched on already, but, we're talking about Texas National Bank, 1920, Mercedes. So, you've been here a little while. You definitely got deep roots here in the community. And so I was going to ask you, what does the bank do to support local businesses? You kind of touched on that already. But tell me about families. You're more than just a bank for businesses. You're a bank for people. So what do y'all do for families? Is there anything specific that maybe stands out in your mind that's maybe your favorite product that you have for families?
Well, I mean, when you think about initiatives, right, mm-hmm. that the bank is doing, my favorite one to talk about these days is our TNB Foundation. Okay. Yeah, so our TNB Foundation is something that we're really excited about. We got it going a couple of years ago, mm-hmm. just a little under 2 years. And since then, we've been able to, number one, focus on education. Okay. So we've, since its inception, we've been able to give 16 full paid scholarships for tuition. Yeah,
that's
to students all over the RGV. It really is. Yeah. It really is when you think about it. I mean, it's about an average of $50,000 per tuition. Mm-hmm. And it's not just, the scholarship itself and that's where it stops, because we actually have counselors and mentors that stay with these students throughout their entire educational journey. Wow. Just to ensure that they're getting the right support. And the selection process is very vigorous. Sure. I've heard my executives talk about it a lot and how, they review so many applications, on the red-eye flights, pulling up applications and whenever they can, because there's so much talent with our students and our youth here in the RGV, that we're not focusing on just the academic performance, but we're also looking at what they're doing in the community.
Yeah.
What initiatives they're taking on their own to be more involved.
Well, there's going to come a day that Hector's not able to be out in the community, and someone's got to fill those shoes.
That's absolutely right.
Going back to your foundation, is that fully funded by the bank, or does the community participate in some of the funding? If someone wanted to make a donation to that, could they, or how does that work?
They sure can. So TNB Foundation, we have our own website.
Okay.
You can find that, and there's also a link through our homepage at texasnational.com. But yeah, they could definitely go in there and contribute to this foundation. But we're so happy to say that the majority of the funding comes from TNB employees ourselves,
Really?
right?
Okay.
So we actually take from our paycheck, and we donate, and the bank in turn matches that and is able to contribute to this great cause.
What a great cause. You're
That's
right.
the number one priority for us. Now, I mentioned education, but going back to your question on families,
Right.
Affordable housing is a number two on there. And with affordable housing, what we've been able to do is we came up with our own CDC. It's called the Del Valle Community Development Corporation. And through that, we're able to provide down payment assistance, which is one of the hardest, hurdles when trying to buy a home.
Most lenders want 20% down. And, that number, it doesn't sound very much till you're looking for 20% down.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and then, you start thinking about it. As the market in these houses, they keep going up in price. Well, that 20% keeps going up. So that's a huge benefit to this community.
It really is. And the way that we do it is we source out affordable lots. Then through our experience and our connections working with local contractors and builders, we're able to build homes at cost, which will significantly lower the margin costs. And I mean, at the end of the day, you're looking at a much, much lower cost overall for going into your home, right? And if you look right now, there might be, I believe there's a few homes right now that we have at about 160, maybe 180 range where, let's say a family with one income, 2 children, they can apply, and if they meet that criteria, they might just be able to get that assistance and be able to get a home like this. And these are very nice homes. I've seen some pictures recently, and these are homes that you look at and you're like, man, this is some nice work. This is some really quality work.
So are there different communities throughout the valley?
That's right, all over the valley.
Okay,
that's correct.
I want to take a tour of one of these homes with you.
Let's do it.
Yeah, for
sure.
I really would want to. Our last podcast, Commissioner Villarreal was here, and he talked about the importance of the county actually has some very indigent people that they even will provide a home for. And it's so important. I think that there's a lot more people that are afraid about where they're going to spend the night tonight than what people like me realize. I think that's a huge deal. And so what you're doing for the community is unbelievable. But let me ask you, along that same vein, so Texas National Bank, what do y'all do to support financial literacy? I'll be honest with you, I'm 47 years old, and I feel like I'm almost to the point that I understand my finances a little bit. When I was growing up, there was nothing that taught financial literacy. These days, I think even Dave Ramsey has something for the high school kids. And I know that this is important to you because I've talked to you. I know your passion. Tell me, what does Texas National Bank do to support financial literacy here in the Valley?
Yeah, I think this is going to be my favorite question.
All right.
The podcast. So
take your time. You answer it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You never stop learning, right? And one of the key quotes that we like using in our presentations is, the more you learn, the more you earn, right? And,
wow, that's good.
and that's because, history will show, and their statistics are out there, that there's a direct correlation between the amount of education that you can get and the amount of income that you can earn. Right. So at Texas National Bank, I'm happy to say that I do lead the financial literacy initiative for the bank. Yeah, it's called our TNB Financial Wellness.
Okay.
And
is that's bank wide,
right?
You lead it for the.
Yes, that's correct, for Texas National Bank, and
we're gonna get you a name tag that says that the next time. I don't think any of us realize that when you come to our board.
So it's really been a journey, right? And I couldn't have done it without the support of just everyone that's involved in the bank when it comes to this, because we have a small group of bankers that have been willing to go through the course material, learn the material, have the presentations delivered, at their respective high schools, in their cities. And we've just all been teaming up to get out there. Since we started, we can say that we've touched over 7,000 students we've been able to make contact with. Yeah.
So when you go talk to these 7,000 students, which is a enormous amount of kids, when you go talk to them, what are you teaching them? What does financial literacy mean?
So TMB Financial Wellness, for us, we chose to give it that name because we incorporate financial literacy in it, but in reality, it's your road to financial independence.
Okay.
And it's your overall financial well-being. So we came up with our 6 pillars of financial wellness, right? I could take you quickly through them if that's right. Okay,
let's do this.
So the first one that we focus on is skills and education. So that's what the kids are doing at that moment, right? And we might be talking to a different audience. We could be talking to a group of elderly citizens about fraud abuse, right? Or we could be talking to residents at a local housing authority, right? But they're acquiring skills and education that are going to help them be successful and go take the next step, which is your earning power.
Okay.
So that's a second pillar. And with the earning power, again, back to the correlation, the more you learn, the more you earn, right? We take that into account. Then comes your spending power. So that's where we introduce the power of using tools and budgeting, being able to understand that, hey, just because I got a full-time job, it doesn't mean that I can afford the car bill, the home bill.
Yeah, where were you when I was just getting started in life? Come on, Hector.
Everything. Right. So yeah, that's pretty much how it works. And
so that's number 3.
That's number 3.
Okay.
And then number 4 will be your credit and debt. Okay. So understanding the difference between bad debt, and then good debt. So your home, of course, that appreciates with time. It's a great asset. But then again, these cell phones, they're changing constantly. So each one that comes out, the other one's depreciating, right? So students can relate to that right away. And then, of course, we talk about saving and investing. So now you're in a position where you learned how to save. So what are the different vehicles out there to invest or to save? And sometimes we have to start from the basic fundamentals, which is your compound interest.
Right.
Understanding how compound interest works, right? Of course, we give them that big comparison, which is like a penny a day or $10,000 right now, and that really helps understand everything. And the final one would be, now you have this savings, now you have this wealth. How do you protect it, and how do you insure it? Because there's a lot of expensive insurance out there these days. We want to make sure that you are going after the right one for you. And as far as protection, we talk about fraud and all that's out there. So those are the 6 pillars. But the tools that you have at your disposal are going to be very important. There's a great tool that I can introduce you to later on that's already on our website.
Okay.
It's called the Texas National Bank Our Money Matters tool.
Okay.
So since this one got started, it's already gone public, but a lot of schools are already using it.
Wow.
It's very, very resourceful, because as soon as you go on, the very first step is to do a financial assessment. Through this financial assessment, you get results that might say, hey, you're a little stressed on this financial area.
Yeah.
And then it'll give you a series of articles and videos to look at and to learn from.
And
so it's a very powerful tool. The more you learn.
That's it. Right. Yeah. That's great, man. Those are, and I think pillar number 7 should be hustle. You got to get out there and work.
That's
I think growing up, I always thought, well, if I own my own business, then I have my own schedule. I don't have to work hard. What I've learned now that I'm the other side of life is, my goodness, you own your own business, you better be ready to work. And so that's put in the elbow grease.
Yeah, that's right. And the more you get to working and utilizing your team, maximizing what you can do, the better.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about students. Let's talk about entrepreneurs.
Okay.
I can remember when I first opened up my business, it is scary. To be an entrepreneur, and you're looking at loans, you're looking at vehicles, you're looking at product, you're looking at stock, it's scary. And so, you start thinking about funding, you start thinking about growth, and then an entrepreneur, all of a sudden, they need to grow. And the money's not there. They don't have enough money to grow, but they have too much business not to grow. What advice can you give them, being their local banker? What do you tell entrepreneurs?
Well, you made a very good point there, and advice and guidance and coaching, that's our main responsibility. as a bank. So we start there because as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, let's say you're venturing into a new project. Maybe that's the best help that we can give you is that coaching and that guidance, because ultimately we want to be able to help you understand, is this going to be feasible or not for me? And you have to look at all the intangibles, right? So, for example, one of those might be, okay, so, I have this property and, I want to construct. So is there proper zoning there? Right? Is there already access to water, sewage? Is there any rollback taxes that's going to be involved? How about analyzing the financial statements? When's the last time we did that? Right? Your balance sheet, your income statement. We can help you go through that, right? And through the process, you'll be surprised. A lot of small business owners, they learn a lot. They learn a lot, not just about their business, but they also learn a lot about the industry that they're in. So if we can be this resource for them, we feel that that's our primary responsibility. And then from there, like you said, due to the life cycle of your business, you might be ready to expand. You might be ready to grow. We do have some lending vehicles for you, and we're going to make sure that we do the right recommendation, because if you're needing, let's say, working capital, we want to ensure that we can put you in some type of revolving line of credit, where you can be able to advance on that money, be able to pay it back. You don't want to get stuck in a term loan. So a term loan might be more for, let's say, an equipment type loan, and we do have some great, solutions for that. But we're always going to want to guide you in the right direction according to where your business is at. And there might be those businesses where, you're fine where you're at. All you want to do is just kind of retain yourself. And you could be in a position to benefit from some type of lending vehicle, but it might not fall within the traditional banking solutions. So what we'll do is we have partnered up also with SBA to be able to help some small business owners with that. Just recently, we actually partnered up as well with, it's called the Texas State Small Business Initiative. So they've also been providing support for some of our small business owners and entrepreneurs.
You said a few things, you touched on a few things, talking along the lines of like balance sheets and that, and as you said that, I started twitching and what I think that it's hard for a lot of people to admit, and I think it was hard for me to admit when I was first in business, to be honest with you, is I can tell you about funerals. That's what I do, and I can be in my sleep, and you can ask me a question about funeral, and I can tell you about it. I can tell you about that. But when you ask me about my balance sheet, you ask me about my financial statement. That's scary for me. In school, I enjoyed science. I enjoyed reading. Math was a subject I absolutely could not stand, and so those terms are scary, and that's where someone that's new in business needs to realize the value of coming to Texas National Bank, you as a local banker, and say, explain this to me. There's a lot I now know. There's so many things that someone that knows how to read those, they can tell you the health of your business almost instantly, by looking through and can spot things and say, hey, here's an issue.
That's exactly right.
And that's, money can't buy that, and so that's so important that people realize that.
Very true.
Anyway, I'll stop twitching if you stop saying balance sheet, all right?
That's the last time, I promise.
Okay, sounds good. All right. From your perspective, and this is an interesting question. I ask this a lot to a lot of our people that come in here. From your perspective, what economic trends are currently shaping our region? We've had everything from AI, which that kind of caught me off guard. But I'm curious, and I'll say something that I've noticed in the banking industry. When I was growing up, banks were gigantic buildings that you would walk into, and the halls were long, and there were people waiting. But everything's online now. Now banks are smaller buildings. Lobbies are very small, 3 or 4 people, because people don't go to their bank like they used to unless they need to come see Hector.
Right.
And so, what is it that you see? What economic trends are currently shaping our region?
So, going back to what we talked about earlier and our CDFI status, it's us as an institution truly understanding our region and what are the challenges that it's facing. So here at the RGV, all of our counties are categorized as persistent poverty counties.
Okay.
So because of this, we do have that challenge, right? And as an institution, it's a responsibility for us to be able to help get our community to where we want to see it, right? But that's not to say that we have not come a long way. I mean, the work that our EDCs and our chambers have been doing. Also, you have organizations such as Rioplex, the RGV partnership these days. Everything that they're doing to sell our area as one region
Right.
has just been phenomenal to attract businesses to the area. Great examples are, SpaceX,
Right.
LNG, which is
Yeah.
a huge project. Children's Driscoll Hospital.
Yeah.
I just got word of, I think, MD Anderson as well,
Wow.
doing something down here. So all this is great, but it really reflects on the trend of us selling as one region, but also the workforce that is capable of sustaining that.
Yes.
And that also goes back to our schools. So UTRGV has been doing an awesome job. STC as well, with the technical certifications that they've been able to get. Texas A&M has some curriculum that they've brought down to our area as well. So all this has just helped develop that skilled workforce that we know that these corporations are going to be aligning with.
Right.
So all of this, at the end of the day, what it allows us to do is to position ourselves so that we can be able to provide a better quality of life for our residents. And I think our small business owners are going to see a direct benefit from that, and then our families.
As you were talking about SpaceX and LNG, that's a ways from us. That's down in Brownsville. But what has amazed me is the impact it's had even on this side of the valley. And
it really has. It really has.
It has. And people that are coming down here, a lot of them live on this side and they commute back and forth. They see a community like Mission and they love it and they want to live here, even though they work over on that side of the valley. But I also sit on a school board for Vanguard Academy. And one of the things that's a challenge now is we're actually training students for jobs that don't exist today.
Correct.
And that's what you mentioned there is how do we have a workforce, the jobs that people my age are doing. When we were in high school, these things didn't exist.
Right.
And so we're preparing them. And a lot of times they talk about the brain drain in the valley, that the smart kids leave, but that's not the case anymore. This is a place. And so when they're here and they're learning more and they're earning more, financial literacy is all that more important.
Correct. Yeah. And, innovation, AI, it's all going to be how well we can use those tools. And that's what it's going to be about. But you're right about that.
All right. So this is kind of your final hurrah here, okay?
All right.
So you can leave any nuggets you want to give to the crowd, but what is your vision for the future of community banking here in South Texas?
At Texas National Bank, we believe in growing together with our community. I mean, we've grown here tremendously. I mean, since our existing ownership took over in 2006.
Okay.
We at that point we were a $50 million institution, and to right now be right under $1 billion just says how far we've come.
So from 1920 to 2006, $50 million, and in that short 20-year period, up to just under $1 billion.
Correct.
Wow.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's a testament to the hard work, right, that we've done, but also the decisions that we've made to grow organically here in the Valley. And I think, when we look back at the challenges that we talked about, being an underserved community when it comes to having access or lack thereof to the financial products and services that are out there, we hope that instead of, being that lending hand like we're doing right now, that in the future we'll be more of a mobilizer of funds. More of a mobilizer of that capital to small business owners out there, because we do see the Valley prospering, and we want to make sure that we're doing a part to be a part of that, right? And one good example is the vision of being able to help develop that skilled workforce we talked about. Recently, we just signed an agreement to be part of an internship program called INT, and this is with 5 other financial institutions in the Valley. And we're going to have interns from UTRGV that are finance majors something related to banking, but we're going to help bridge that gap so that we could give them firsthand experience on banking skills, right? So, and the goal here is that, by the time they're ready to work, they're in a position to be far more advanced when it comes to being a great banker than we were, because we kind of had to learn along the way when we started, right? So they're going to get that head start, and also the hopes are that these students can benefit from having that guidance and from us, and I think it's a great thing for us to be a part of.
Well, and hopefully that prevents the brain drain too. They build relationships in the banking industry, and they want to stay here, work with Texas National Bank. That'd be great.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
What a great conversation, Hector. I've learned so much. You think about Texas National Bank; it's so much more than banking. It carries you from your whole life, from high school, learning how to deal with the $5 your mom gave you for lunch and what you can do with that, all the way through, like you said, talking to people that are maybe in an assisted living and how to prevent elderly abuse and how to prevent someone taking their money, which is a big deal.
Really is.
I didn't realize how much Texas National Bank is on the consulting side versus just the lending side. It has so much less to do about coming in and making an application for a loan. It has so much more to do with the relationship.
That's why I love doing what I do, and that's why we stick to that slogan that we are friendly.
Yeah.
And and we are friendly just means that we truly get to know our customers.
Right.
The more we know our customers, the better we're able to serve them.
Yeah. I've said this before on the podcast, but I'll say it again. My dad used to always tell me, we're not in the funeral business, we're in the people business.
That's right.
And it doesn't matter if you're a greeter at Walmart or if you're a banker at Texas National Bank, you're in the people business. Take care of the people. How
That's
exciting.
correct.
Well, thank you, Hector. I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad too. Thank you so much.
Let's reconnect next time, and let's learn more from other leaders here that we can connect to you with. Here at the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce, we believe that your success is our success. So now we're going to have a word from our sponsors.
Here at Texas National Bank, we know what running a local business means, and the countless moments no one ever sees. From the early mornings to the long hours and every moment in between, we are there with you.
Thank you to Texas National Bank for all they do to take care of our community, and thank you to everyone for listening to Commerce Conversation, where we focus on topics like business and community and innovative products. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe in the podcast, whether you listen to it on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Don't forget to follow the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce online for more updates and content. We look forward to having you all join us again for our next episode. And on behalf of the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce, we wish you and your family a great summer break. We hope that during your summer break, you're able to come out to a ribbon cutting, get to see all of us. Maybe you can make it out to one of our networking events. We'd love to get to know you and let you know a little bit about who we are. This has been Commerce Conversation, hosted by Tim Brown of Rick Brown Family Funeral Home, produced by the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce, and edited by the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce. We will see you in the next episode.